There's only ever been one player in the entire history of the NBA to have been suspended for a whole season for being overweight. That title belongs to none other than John Hot Plate Williams himself. Despite having tremendous potential coming into the league, he could never keep his diet under control. Today we're going to look at how weight killed the NBA career of this rising star. John Williams started building hype around him even before he entered the NBA. As a high school player in Crenshaw, he was already a star in the local basketball community, becoming the first 10th grader to ever be named to the LA Times All-City team. By the time he was 15, he had already grown to a whopping height of 6'8" while weighing in at 250 pounds. His size combined with the excellent passing skills landed him a spot on the 1984 McDonald's All-American team, the high school all-star equivalent of the nation's brightest basketball youth. During that game, John absolutely dominated, leading his team with 27 points and 16 rebounds, earning himself the MVP trophy. After that, colleges took notice, and he had offers coming in left and right. As arguably the top high school forward at the time, it wasn't a surprise that everybody wanted him. His family would play a huge part in helping him choose where he ultimately went. He ended up at Louisiana State University, where he absolutely thrived. During his second season with LSU, he averaged a ridiculous 17.8 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 3.3 assists. As a 6'8" forward, he was a gifted player who could do more than just score. He was a point forward, a big who could pass and make plays. During that era, big men who could facilitate an offense were rare. His unique play style caught the attention of both fans and professional sports teams alike. At this point, scouts were confident that he was ready for the NBA, and in 1986, he was drafted by the Washington Bullets with the 12th overall pick. Although he was picked outside of the top 10, a lot of fans were still excited to see him play, drawing comparisons to NBA legends like Magic Johnson. They were both big men who could guide their teams as floor generals and were deadly offensively, especially in transition. Unfortunately, the stories of their careers could not be more different. Everything was ready and the table was set for Williams' future. However, his NBA career was in jeopardy before it even began, and he went from being a future all-star to a liability. Before the season started, there were some concerns about his weight, but the Bullets saw that his talent clearly overshadowed this problem, and that the pros of this game outweighed the cons they saw in him. John was extremely talented, and the team believed they could sort out his weight issue before the start of the regular season. However, the coaching staff were shocked when they saw him for the first time during training camp. The man weighed in at a ridiculous 260 pounds, and the team didn't expect that he would gain so much weight in such a short amount of time. A lot of people from the organization started thinking that the decision to draft him was probably not worth it. Despite this, Williams played well in his debut season, and his career looked promising. He averaged 9.2 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 2.4 assists per game. These numbers might not be eye-popping, but they weren't bad considering he was just a rookie. Although he was primarily an offensive player, he showed that he could also get it done on the defensive end, tallying 1.7 steals a game during his rookie year. He played for the second unit, but his skills were extremely valuable for the Bullets. As a point forward, he could get buckets not only for himself, but for his teammates as well. This made him easy to play with, as he could be productive with or without the ball in his hands. He's also a versatile player who's capable of playing all 5 positions. He had the size of a front court player, but could handle the ball like a guard. John lacked a solid three-point shot, but it didn't matter, because he was so good at everything else that he didn't need to rely on outside shots to make an impact. Williams' first year in the NBA looked promising, and there were some games where he showed flashes of his all-star potential. It's true that the Bullets didn't have a good first impression towards John, but after a good rookie season, the team was optimistic that he could become a key part of their team in the future. The only thing that was slowing him down was his weight, but the franchise was hopeful that he would figure out his issues so that he would reach his full potential. Williams continued his solid performance for the next few seasons, and he constantly improved year after year. His individual numbers rose steadily, but more than that, his role and impact on the team was growing as well. In fact, during his third season, he was a candidate for the 1989 Sixth Man of the Year award. His progress as a player was phenomenal. However, he couldn't get past his kryptonite, as his skill wasn't the only thing that was growing. His weight was increasing year after year, and it kept him from truly unleashing his capabilities whenever he was on the court. John was extremely talented and he had a great basketball IQ. The only thing that was holding him back was his weight. For this reason, he earned the nickname Hot Plate among NBA fans. He moved to the starting lineup during the 1989-90 season, where he proved that despite his weight, he was still one of the NBA's rising stars. He was averaging 18.2 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 4.7 assists. His impact on the floor was evident, and there was no doubt that he could actually become an all-star someday. All of this quickly ended when he suffered a season-ending MCL injury just 1 month after the season started. This was made worse by the fact that the weight of his upper body made his knees extremely fragile. He had to sit out for the entire rest of the season to recover, but this injury caused way more problems than expected. Before his injury, his weight was already a major problem, but it was still under control because playing on a basketball court forced him to stay somewhat in shape. Because of this injury, the only form of exercise he had was taken away from him, leading him to gaining extra weight a lot quicker than expected. To make matters worse, around that time, he was also facing a lot of challenges in his personal life. His father suffered from a stroke and his mother lost her job. On top of this, he had numerous issues going on in his family regarding money. As John was suffering from an overwhelming amount of stress, he decided to turn to food as a source of comfort. His lack of exercise combined with his stress eating made his weight issues that much more problematic. The Bullets medical staff were alarmed with how fast he was gaining weight, and they could no longer ignore it. After his knee recovered, the organization decided to put him on a weight loss program to help him save his career. However, his family problems killed his enthusiasm and motivation, causing him to constantly miss his weight goals. The man practically gave up and had a habit of not showing up to his sessions with his trainers and dietitians. The Bullets decided to boost his morale by letting him know that if he could lose more weight, then he could keep his contract to stay on the team. They even went as far as offering him an astonishing $200,000 for every time that he met his weight goal during his program. Sadly, Williams struggled hard and never met his goals, not even once. When he returned from injury at the start of the 1990-91 season, he was over 300 pounds. His performance significantly dropped compared to when he was healthy, averaging just 12.5 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 4 assists. His incredible talent was still there. In fact, there were some weeks where he averaged more than 20 points a game, and yet his weight kept holding him back and it continued to be a major issue for him. For this reason, the Bullets decided to stop letting him play indefinitely until he managed to get his weight below 260 pounds. Put simply, the man got suspended for being too fat. This was an unpaid suspension, and the relationship between Williams and the organization became sour. The Washington Bullets traded him to the LA Clippers, where his performance continued to decline as he continued to get more and more out of shape. In his second season with the Clippers, they decided to put him in another weight loss program, but he failed to reduce his weight yet again. After failing to get his weight down, the Clippers let him go and ultimately cut him from the team. The Indiana Pacers picked him up and gave him one last chance to change his habits for good. They were optimistic that if John could shed some of his weight, that he'd be able to play at an elite level once again. Unfortunately, Williams still had difficulties losing weight, and his performance continued to suffer. The Pacers were left with no choice but to cut him off from the roster, marking the very last time Williams would ever set foot on an NBA court again. John Williams had the opportunity to make a name for himself and to cement his legacy in the NBA. There were many factors affecting his lack of discipline, but it certainly proved that talent without hard work is oftentimes not enough. His story also reminds us to appreciate the effort that our favorite players are putting in, despite the constant pressure on and off the court. What do you guys think about the story of John Williams? Does he remind you of anyone else? If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to click the next one on the screen. Go ahead and click it. It's free.